Sorry, everyone. My video isn't working, but I'm still able to read Jen's bio here. So I'm just going to get going just because I don't want to waste any time during her session. But joining me today for our second round of sessions is Jenn. She is a certified career coach and health coach and the founder of Unspring Wellness and worksapien. She works at the intersection of career and health and is specialized in finding and creating work and ways of working that have health benefits for individuals and organizations. She leverages 20 plus years of combined experience in career transition, wellness, human resources, and environmental behavior change to offer a wellness-based approach to personal and professional development coaching. Thank you so much for your participating in this event today. And I'd just like to add for anyone here watching, we really want to encourage you to use the chat to ask as many questions as you can. And Jenn, if you could just leave your contact information. I think you already put your LinkedIn in here, just for those that want to connect with you after the event.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Sandra. Okay, hello, everyone. I am happy to be here at the Toronto Jobs Fair in the virtual edition. And the topic today is finding alignment in your future career, which is one of my favorite topics. Sandra mentioned I'm a career coach and I'm also a health coach. So a lot of times alignment is the key factor in ensuring that we do have healthy careers. So many have had the experience of, and hopefully not too many, have had the experience of being in a job that isn't quite right or not being in the right job. And if that persists, a lot of times we'll find that it does take a toll on our health, mental well-being, all of that. So today I'm going to talk about how some of the factors, some of the personal criteria that go into making aligned decisions when it comes to careers, and some of the strategies that you can use to check in and to do some, and once you're in the position, to do some job crafting as needed in order to stay in alignment. So I am doing a little bit of a workaround, and yes, please put some questions in the chat. I will look at them at the end because I will be in a different screen, so I won't be able to bounce back and forth. And so what I have here is a bit of a workaround in terms of my slides. So I'm just going to scroll through them instead of the PowerPoint. So a little bit more about me. My mission is to make work a source of well-being for humans. So it's a source, rather than preventing the ill effects of work that does not work for us. It's a different strategy in terms of finding, helping finding work that will basically support well-being and be a source of well-being. So a good example of that would be financial well-being. A lot of times our careers are the main source for our financial well-being. So that is just the tip of the iceberg. So in terms of my strengths, I like to lead with this: individualization, learner, ideation, strategy, and responsibility. Those are my strengths finder strengths, and I bring those into career coaching as well as health coaching. So it helps me to generate ideas, to see the individual, and to help to be strategic with job search and be strategic with decision-making processes and things along those lines. I am also a certified coach, both in health and career. So just a little overview of what we'll be talking about today. Defining career alignment. So, what is career alignment? I'm sure we're all very familiar with aligning goals and objectives in a business context. And so what does it mean to align ourselves with our career choices, our career pathway forward, our career plans, and the work that we do on a daily basis as well. And then, so I'll look at areas of career alignment. So a lot, this is the stuff of career coaching. So a lot of times I'll be talking about, this is the internal piece of the equation. So who am I is the question we often ask in career coaching. Who am I is all of these areas of career alignment. So the more you understand, the more awareness that you can have in these areas, the more likely you are to make aligned decisions and to have an aligned job search. So you'll be looking for, and being able to say that, to identify basically job postings that are in alignment, job postings that do that do have a good chance of being a good fit. And then the career fulfillment wheel. This is a tool that I use in my coaching practice a lot, and it helps to identify some of the areas in which we may be doing well, or we may need to put some more attention in order to enhance fulfillment within the experience that we have. And then, of course, realignment strategies. So when we'll come into alignment, everything will feel, perhaps we're working in our strengths and we're feeling very good, getting lots of energy from our work, feeling like we can do this work for a long time. And then over the years, our values will shift. Things will change in our lives, and we'll need to realign. So how do we do that? And how do we do that? Through finding new jobs or finding new, sometimes this means moving on. Sometimes this means looking for change within what we already have. So there we are. So what is career alignment? So as I mentioned in the beginning, we've all likely had the the experience of working in a way that isn't necessarily who we are or what we want to be doing. That doesn't mean that every single thing that we do all day is always going to be in alignment. This is something that's kind of something to strive for, which will never be completely, accomplished 100%. So it's something that, we're looking to build alignment over the years as we get to know ourselves, as we develop skills. This is something that we can get better at and fine tune in terms of understanding what fits for us, what we need in a role. And so it's easier to identify misalignment. Usually we'll feel that our work priorities and values are competing with our life priorities. I'm sure we've all had that experience with the pandemic. Feel like there has to be something more than this. So that feeling, if you've ever had that thought or that feeling in the work that you're doing, it often is a signal that you are out of alignment. Wondering if you're going to make it to the end of the year. So just kind of struggling to get through the contract or whatever it is. So in the job search, wondering if you'll ever get a job. These are some of the things that that indicate, maybe there's something off. Reaching a ceiling in terms of growth. So sometimes if growth is a major value and, you've learned all you can learn, sometimes that can spark a need for change as well. So when you are in alignment, what does that look like? It looks like enjoying your work. It looks like feeling motivated, feeling like the employer's mission, impact, or vision, or is very much something that you would like to invest your time and energy into on a daily basis. Even if the meaning is it's helping people to communicate, it could be just what the product or service does for people that you feel aligned with. Alignment can also kind of be something that makes you feel like it's sustainable, something that you can do for a long time. And then it could also create a strong sense of commitment to the field or to the work. So if you're feeling like, yes, this is something I don't know how long, but I do know that I'd like to continue doing this for some time, that is generally a good sign that you're in alignment. And so the benefits of career alignment, these are success on your own terms, and I'll go into a little bit more about what that means. The thing about alignment is, and I'm a big believer in this, and I've experienced this myself over many years, is that it can bring unexpected opportunities. So it can actually, when you're in alignment, things start to fall into place very mysteriously sometimes, but opportunities just present themselves. A lot of times this is a result of you doing what you're doing really well and people noticing. But a lot of times, many will experience that. So this is the opposite extreme of feeling like you're not sure if you're going to make it through the end of the day, kind of thing. So this brings meaning and fulfillment. It reduces stress, and a lot of times because you have a lot of skill in the area and you do well in what you do, so you have the strengths alignment there. And then there's health benefits, and social emotional needs can be met when you are aware of what your needs are and you are making adjustments to ensure that you are meeting that you in negotiation with the employer are getting those needs met. So first step is to define them. And that's a lot of what the initial work that I do with clients tends to be, is what are these dimensions? And so we have lost the dimensions. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll just have to tell you what they are. They are in my slide, but they're not appearing here. So the dimensions are life vision and desires, career goals, strengths and competencies, values and ideas of success, priorities and needs, interests and issues of concern, work preferences, inclinations, and personality traits or character strengths. So we're gonna go through each of these in more detail. So let's start with strengths alignment. So I was just in Mike's presentation, I was noting that in the chart that the tool that he uses to target employers, there were two columns. One of them was strengths and one of them was interest. Does this align with my strengths and does this align with my interests? So what we see a lot of is that strengths are often, one of the most important things to align with. We hear a lot about aligning with career goals, for example. Employers will constantly in interviews and throughout the process ask you, what are your career goals and how does this role fit with your career goals? So it's really important to have an idea of what those are. So alignment with career goals is something that comes up quite a bit. And then the other big area that we often refer to when it comes to alignment is values. And values alignment is probably, if I were to choose one that is most important of all of the dimensions of career alignment, it would be values, because values are essentially what's most important to you. Values are, if authenticity is one of your values, then you need to feel psychologically safe at work so that you can be yourself with colleagues. That is something that, if that is something that you value, that can become what I call a deal breaker, or a factor that that will affect your alignment significantly. So when you have and so there are many, many areas of career alignment, and I see focus on different areas. A lot of times we'll focus on a financial goal, for example, in our life vision and desires or career goals. If we want to make a certain salary, what we're actually talking about is, what is that salary for? We're talking about values. Is it for a specific type of lifestyle? Is it for supporting your family? Is that salary for, ensuring that that you have that you are able to do some of the things, adventurous things that are also of value to you, like travel. So a lot of times what we're talking about is values alignment when we're looking at some of the things that we want in a job. Strengths alignment is probably the second most important. So strengths alignment, so strength is just the capacity for a particular way of behaving, thinking, feeling that is authentic, energizing to the user, and enables optimal functioning, which sounds like a very kind of, functional sounding definition. But basically, when you're in strengths alignment, you're doing what there's an enjoyment factor, there's an energizing factor. You're forgetting, sometimes there's a flow factor. You're not seeing time pass. It's the opposite of watching the clock. So when you're out of alignment, you're watching the clock. When you're in alignment, time passes. So it's just being in a place where you have you're calculating that you have the skills and ability to do the job well. And so if we look at research on strengths, only about 1/3 of people have meaningful understanding of what their strengths are. So this is an area where we all need to kind of get clear and get comfortable talking about what we do well and why. And this is something that I often work on as well, is identifying and listing values and strengths and being able to talk about them, like being able to articulate them with confidence. This is something that goes a long way as well when you're in a networking conversation on the job search and you're talking to somebody and they're asking you, tell me a little bit about yourself. If you're able to help them understand what alignment is for you, they're able to offer you better quality, send you better quality postings, offer you better quality introductions or networking. This is something that the more you know yourself and the more you're able to articulate these dimensions, the more individuals, the better quality help you can get in your job search as well. And so, and I also like to mention this, in the process of identifying and utilizing your strengths in everyday life has been linked to an elevated sense of vitality and motivation. It's increased probability of achieving goals, as well as a stronger sense of direction. So if you're really, especially in the middle of a long job search, this is something to go back to a list of your strengths and actually read them and have a look at them, and even do a what's called the reflective best self exercise, where you ask people around you, what are my strengths? What do you see me as being good at? What do you see me as excelling in? So, because sometimes we forget. And it's really important to have this top of mind as we're moving through the job search. So identifying strengths, I like to look at strengths on a spectrum, from starting with skills, then moving into competencies. So skills are just things that you've done tasks you've done a number of times and you can do fairly well relative to the population. Competencies are when you take the skills and knowledge and combine it into being quite good in terms of having a more rounded out skill set. And then when these two things are things that you enjoy doing, so you can be good at things but not necessarily enjoy doing them, it's very important on a resume to focus on, especially in a job search or in an interview, to focus on the skills and competencies, not only that you have, but that you enjoy, the ones you want more of. So I like to make this distinction that when you're applying and when you're looking for roles and postings, find postings that are actually contain, more of what you want more of, and de-emphasize those skills and competencies. Even if you have them, though you don't enjoy them, it's important to move in this direction, because this is going to bring you alignment. And so once you have this certain strength, and strengths come, there is a sort of a natural capacity that many have, gifts that we all have. Most who I ask, do you believe that everyone has a gift? Most will say yes. And those gifts are in the zone of genius or superpowers, and you can use whatever language you want. But ultimately, if we are working in this end of the continuum, then we are most likely going to achieve a high level of alignment. And the way that you know if that's happening is is learning quickly, successful performance. You can do these things when you're tired, when you're stressed. It feels easy. People come to you to do these things. It evokes respect and admiration. So this is really important when you're looking at alignment factors. And I am going to move a little quicker now, because I want to make sure I have a little bit of time at the end for questions. So interests are the same. Interests, they vary by degree as well. And I always suggest to a lot of my clients to map their interests across a continuum. So there's lots of things, lots of topics and subjects and content that we enjoy learning and talking about and reading about and gravitating towards and studying, though they are always a little bit different in terms of the strength of the interests. So I always consider looking at the strong interests and fascinations and passions. You need to be able to maintain a high level of interest in your work in order to stay in alignment. And this is one of the ways to do that, to identify what are those areas that you just can't learn enough about because you enjoy them so much. And finally, work preferences. So work preferences, this is from the Holland Code, which is one of the originals in terms of preference work in assessment. And this is just this helps you understand what you gravitate towards naturally. What are your default settings? So do you like to be in investigative environments with people who love to do research and analysis and evaluation? Or do you like to surround yourself? This is a lot about the environments that you'll thrive in and the people that you'll thrive working with, because they reflect who you are. So this is a really great model, and you can find a Holland Code assessment for free with an easy Google search. And I recommend figuring out what your 3-letter code is, and And then you can actually go on ONET and look at which occupations correspond with these natural kind of tendencies or where you gravitate. So that's another way to find alignment. Personality, there are lots of ways to look at personality, but essentially personality is a major factor. Whether you need a high level of harmony at work is determined by your personality. Whether you need to be able to collaborate and to work with people has a lot to do with your personality. And so these are some of the major factors that could make or break your enjoyment and your alignment in your roles. So looking for roles that do have some of these things. And then, of course, I mentioned values earlier. Values are different for everyone. Having a top 5 that you look at and that you come back to every year and look at how your values may have shifted, because they do shift, will help you to articulate what it is that you're looking for. This also helps you to articulate when you're trying to figure out, you're going into negotiation for a job offer and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, what is most important for me to negotiate? What should I focus on in this negotiation? Because really, most of the time, you don't want to negotiate more than a couple of things or focus more than a couple of items when it comes to negotiation. So what is most important to you? What do you care most about? What will bring you into alignment most if you are able to move the needle on some of these areas? So when you're evaluating job offers and opportunities, all of these factors come into play, and creating a bit of a profile for yourself so that you understand what gets top ranking, what is more weighted for you personally when it comes to deciding on what you're going to apply for or what you're going to accept. If you have 2 job offers coming in, looking at these elements of your personal criteria definitely can help you to see where, which one is better aligned when you're starting to break down the criteria, break down the things that are most important to you, and prioritize those things in a list format usually, so you can start to compare. And so in terms of career alignment and clarity and implementation strategies, design thinking, comparative assessment. So this is where you're actually starting to be proactive about creating, and I always recommend creating an ideal job posting. So what would an ideal job posting look like for you? And even if it's kind of a hodgepodge of things that exist out in the world, that it's not necessarily all in one place, it helps you to kind of get a really clear picture of what is it what are the ingredients that go into alignment for me. And then comparative assessment year to year. This is where, every year you can kind of look at some of, like, my strengths finder, for example, I like to do every couple of years to see how are my strengths evolving? How am I developing my strengths over the course of my career? And how might that affect some of my choices as I go forward? And then a reflection. How much friction am I experiencing currently, and where? So even in your job search, how much friction are you experiencing? Does it feel hard? Does it feel easy? What might you be able to do to even in the approach that you take to your job search, how might you be able to do it in a way that's more in alignment with your values and that you actually might enjoy more? So if you're heavily weighing on networking, or doing networking in a way that you don't enjoy or that doesn't come naturally for you, is there another way that you can reach out to people that would create less friction for you? So there are lots of ways to apply these principles. I like to use a lot of decision-making tools that make values-based decisions, future self-projections. I have a scorecard that I like to use. And this just helps to define those trade-offs and deal breakers, and which ultimately helps in sometimes crafting or creating a role that works for you. And so we're at time here, so I'm just going to wrap this up. But essentially, this is a career fulfillment wheel. So this is something that you can kind of a check-in tool. And if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, I can send this to you. I put my LinkedIn in the chat. I'm on my LinkedIn link into the chat. And then finally, if you're in a role, there are a number of ways that you can task craft, relationship craft, and cognitive craft. And if you want to know more about this, you can have a look at, there is a TED Talk by Amy Werninsky on that. It talks about job crafting and gives a bunch of really good examples on how you can shape a role that around you and around your needs, your priorities, and all of these career alignment factors. Okay, so thank you. And I'm coming back now. We're right at time. And I am happy to respond to any questions that you may have, if there are any here. Okay, so thank you. So I'm an INFJ. I use both sides of my brain, so I'm creative and logical. So ideation and strategies with business acumen. I come from television advertising backgrounds. So I'm looking for roles in media and marketing, content creation, TV. Ideal job would be creating stories. Okay, I love this that you have that defined. So original series content, but I can do well in marketing jobs too. So I'm applying across marketing and media. In terms of alignment, where do you think I stand? This is a really good analysis, Hajra. You're showing kind of the versatility in that you have business acumen, so you can work in media marketing, but storytelling is really at the center of what you're doing. So relying on those ideation strategies and ideation and strategic thinking, but also the logic there. So, and INFJs, what I know about INFJs as well is that they're very much people-oriented people. So there's leading with the heart is very much something that a lot of INFJs need to do. They need to kind of collaborate and work with people and connect. So so in terms of alignment, where do you think I stand? I would love to know where you stand. It sounds like you have figured out at least where you're aligned in strengths and interests. What you might be able, and personality, what you might be able to do is add your values to this piece so that you can figure out, get more detail about, where those values align in industry, what types of industries, where your preferences exist. So it sounds like your preferences, you have social and artistic as part of your preferences as well. So where are those environments that make the most sense for you to thrive? So those people-oriented, psychologically safe environments, generally speaking. Hopefully that's helpful. I'd love to have more of a conversation with you about that, because it's a big question. Were there any others? And please follow up with if there's anything else that you wanted me to talk about there. Okay, great. All right. Great. Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate the comments. Yes, there's always, you can always have I like to say have an ideal resume. So have a resume that showcases everything that you know works really well for you, even though you've done many, many things, but choosing to highlight and showcase the ones that you know are most in alignment with your strengths and values today. And I'll just give it a few minutes in case anyone else has any other thoughts or questions. And I am happy to connect. I love talking about alignment. And I don't see anything else in the Q&A. Oh, Sadia's here. Hi, Sadia. Thank you, Vinod. And I think we just have about 1 more minute before we're into the next session. So any last questions, I will stick around. But otherwise, Sandra, was there anything else to cover? Okay, wonderful. All right, well, thank you all for being here today, and I look forward to potentially connecting with you. I've left my LinkedIn, oh yes, for For Hajra, I've left my LinkedIn link right at the top of the chat, the very first entry in the chat. You'll find it. Okay, have a great day, everyone.